My grandson called me a technological dinosaur in front of 15 people at his engagement dinner. 3 days later, every single device in my family stopped working. Every password locked them out, and their entire digital lives ground to a halt. They had no idea I'd been the one keeping everything running for 15 years. What I did next taught them a lesson about respect they'll never forget. Let me take you back to March 8th, 2024, the night everything changed. I was sitting at Moretti's Italian restaurant in downtown Chicago, celebrating Brandon's engagement to Chelsea Worthington. My grandson, 28 years old, freshly promoted to senior marketing manager at some tech startup called Vibecast. The kind of company that has ping-pong tables and calls meetings sinks. I'd driven 40 minutes from my house in Oak Park, wearing my good suit. The navy one Eleanor helped me pick out 3 years before she passed. I brought a card with $200 cash inside. Not much by today's standards, but it meant something. It represented hours of work, years of saving, genuine happiness for my grandson's future. The private dining room was packed. Brandon's parents, my son Michael and his wife Rita. Chelsea's parents, Douglas and Patricia Worthington, old money from Lake Forest. The kind of wealth that whispers instead of shouts. Brandon's co-workers from Vibecast, all in their 20s and 30s, wearing expensive casual clothes that somehow cost more than formal wear. Chelsea's sorority sisters, influencer types who kept taking photos of their food instead of eating it. I was seated at the end of the table, not the head, just the end. The spot where older relatives get placed when they're invited out of obligation rather than desire. I didn't mind. I'd brought a book, a biography of Alan Turing I was rereading. Figured I might have some quiet moments during the evening. That's when Brandon noticed my phone sitting on the table next to my water glass. My Motorola Razr flip phone. Basic model, no frills, makes calls and sends texts. Does everything I need it to do. I've had it for 6 years, replaced it once when the hinge broke. Reliable, simple, functional, Grandpa, Brandon said loudly, interrupting a conversation about wedding venues. Is that actually your phone? The table went quiet. 15 pairs of eyes turned toward me and my flip phone. It is, I said simply. Chelsea leaned forward, squinting like she was examining a museum artifact. Oh my God, I haven't seen one of those since middle school. Do they even make those anymore? They do, I replied. This one works perfectly fine. Brandon picked up my phone without asking, holding it up like evidence in a trial. Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you my grandfather's cutting-edge technology. Circa 2005, laughter rippled around the table. His Vibecast co-workers were grinning, taking photos of my phone with their latest iPhones. Chelsea's friends were whispering to each other, barely containing their amusement. Grandpa, you know they invented smartphones, right? Brandon continued, playing to his audience. Touchscreens, apps, the internet in your pocket? I'm aware, I said calmly. Then why are you still using a flip phone? It's like driving a horse and buggy when everyone else has Teslas. Douglas Worthington chuckled from across the table. Brandon, leave your grandfather alone. Some people prefer simpler technology. But Brandon was on a roll now, energized by the attention. No, seriously, Grandpa, how do you even function in 2024 with that thing? Can you take photos? Can you use GPS? Can you order an Uber? I managed just fine, I said. Do you even know what an app is? One of his co-workers asked, barely suppressing a laugh. Chelsea touched Brandon's arm affectionately. Babe, your grandpa is from a different generation. Technology isn't really their thing. My grandmother still thinks Facebook is the only social media platform that exists, their thing, like I was a different species. Like 72 years old meant my brain had stopped processing new information in 1985. Brandon set my phone down with exaggerated gentleness. Grandpa, I'm saying this with love, okay? You're stuck in the past. You're like a living time capsule. It's honestly kind of sad watching you try to navigate the modern world with Stone Age tools. More laughter. Rita, my daughter-in-law, tried to intervene. Brandon, that's enough. I'm not trying to be mean, Mom. I'm trying to help. Grandpa needs to join the 21st century before he gets left behind completely. He turned to me with exaggerated concern. Do you even know how to use email? Or are you still writing letters and mailing them with stamps? The truth was sitting in my pocket. Not in my flip phone, but in my wallet. A business card I hadn't shown anyone in years. Harold Mitchell, Senior Systems Engineer, IBM. Retired 2018 after 42 years. Specialized in network security, database architecture, and legacy system integration. I'd been writing code since 1976, built systems that still run major banking infrastructure. Taught myself Python, Java, C++, and a dozen other languages because that's what the job required. Spent 4 decades solving problems that would make Brandon's marketing automation software look like a children's toy. But I didn't say any of that, because here's what I learned in 42 years of engineering. Sometimes the best response to arrogance is silence. Let people reveal themselves completely before you act. You know what would be hilarious? Chelsea said, scrolling through her iPhone. We should do a family tech vote. Everyone raises their hand if they think Grandpa Harold needs a smartphone intervention. Chelsea, don't, Michael said quietly, but she was already counting. All in favor of bringing Grandpa into the modern age? 12 hands went up. Brandon's, Chelsea's, all the Vibecast employees, Chelsea's sorority sisters, even Douglas Worthington raised his hand with an apologetic shrug toward me. The family has spoken, Brandon announced. Grandpa, we love you, but you're officially our most technologically challenged member. Maybe for Christmas we can all chip in and get you an iPhone. With big buttons and extra-large text. Senior citizen mode. The laughter was louder now. Even Michael was smiling, though he looked uncomfortable. Rita stared at her plate. And me? I sat there, hands folded, watching my grandson perform for his audience at my expense. What Brandon didn't know, what none of them knew, was that I'd been managing their digital lives for 15 years. Every password, every security question, every two-factor authentication, every cloud backup, every smart home device. When Michael couldn't access his investment account in 2019, I fixed it. When Rita's laptop got infected with ransomware in 2021, I cleaned it remotely at 2 in the morning. When Brandon himself got locked out of his college email during finals week in 2016, I recovered his account in 40 minutes. I did it quietly, never asking for recognition, because that's what family does. You help without keeping score. You support without demanding applause. But sitting there, listening to my grandson mock me in front of 15 people, watching them vote on my technological competence like I was a charity case, something shifted. I picked up my flip phone, flipped it open with a satisfying click, and stood up from the table. Where are you going? Brandon asked. Home, I said simply. Congratulations on your engagement. I hope you both have a wonderful wedding. Grandpa, don't be like that. We're just having fun. I looked at him for a long moment. 28 years old. Master's degree in marketing. 6-figure salary. Living in a luxury apartment in River North. Thought he understood how the world worked because he could create Instagram campaigns and analyze engagement metrics. Brandon, I said calmly, enjoy your dinner and good luck with all your technology. I left the card with $200 on the table and walked out of Moretti's Italian restaurant. The drive home took 40 minutes. 40 minutes of thinking about respect, about assumptions, about the difference between knowledge and wisdom. By the time I pulled into my driveway on Kenilworth Avenue, I'd made a decision that would teach my family a lesson they desperately needed to learn, because sometimes the best way to show people what you do is to stop doing it. And sometimes the most powerful response to mockery is to let reality speak for itself. I walked into my house, went straight to my office, and opened my laptop. Not a flip phone. A custom-built workstation with 3 monitors, 64 gigabit of RAM, and processing power that would make Brandon's MacBook look like a calculator. Then I started making a list. Every system I managed, every password I maintained, every digital service I quietly supported. The list took 2 hours to complete. 47 separate accounts, systems, and services. Everything from my son's home security system to Brandon's cloud storage to Rita's online banking, all managed by the technologically challenged grandfather with the flip phone. What I did next would change everything. But first, they needed to understand exactly what they'd taken for granted for 15 years. The morning after the engagement dinner, I woke up at 6:30, made my coffee, and sat down at my workstation. The 3 monitors glowed in the dim light of my office, displaying password managers, system dashboards, and administrative panels that I'd been maintaining without anyone's knowledge for a decade and a half. I'd started this whole arrangement back in 2009. Michael had called me in a panic because he'd forgotten his email password and locked himself out after too many failed attempts. I walked him through the recovery process, reset his security questions, and set up a password manager so it wouldn't happen again. But Michael being Michael, he forgot the master password to the password manager within a week, so I started keeping a backup, just in case, just to help. Then Rita needed help with her new iPad. Then Brandon needed his college portal access restored. Then Michael's business partner needed their company server fixed. One favor led to another, and before I knew it, I'd become the invisible IT department for my entire family. The spreadsheet on my center monitor told the story. 15 years of quiet support, documented in meticulous detail, because that's how engineers think. We document everything. Michael's systems, home security system, Ring doorbell network, ADT monitoring panel. Administrator access since 2019. Reset the system 4 times after power outages. Updated firmware 7 times. Recovered footage 3 times for insurance claims. Investment accounts. Vanguard Fidelity, Charles Schwab. Password manager access. Recovered accounts twice after lockouts. Set up 2-factor authentication. Prevented 1 potential fraud attempt in 2022 by catching suspicious login from Romania. Smart home devices, Nest thermostats, Philips Hue lighting, August smart locks. Configured entire system. Troubleshot connectivity issues monthly, business email through GoDaddy. Administrator rights. Managed spam filters, recovered deleted emails, set up forwarding rules. Rita's systems, online banking, Chase, Bank of America, Discover credit card, password recovery contact, fixed locked accounts 5 times, set up fraud alerts, disputed unauthorized charges twice, cloud storage, Google Drive, Dropbox, iCloud, recovered 340 GB of family photos after she accidentally deleted them in 2020, organized folder structures, set up automatic backups, social media, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. Helped recover hacked Facebook account in 2021. Set up privacy settings. Removed malware from Instagram that was posting spam.medical portal. Patient records at Northwestern Memorial. Reset password 8 times. Helped her download records for insurance claims. Brandon's systems, college email recovery. 2016, saved his senior thesis after lockout during finals week, apartment building security system in River North. Emergency contact for system issues. Fixed door lock malfunction twice. LinkedIn profile recovery 2023. Account got flagged for suspicious activity. Restored access in 48 hours, cloud storage, 2 TB Google Drive with work documents. Set up automatic backup. Recovered files after laptop crash. Streaming services, Netflix, Hulu, Spotify. Family plan administrator. He doesn't even know I'm the one paying for them. Total time invested over 15 years, approximately 1,140 hours. That's 46 weeks of full-time work. Done quietly, without recognition, because I thought that's what grandfathers did. We helped, we supported. We fixed things without making a fuss about it, but after last night's performance at Moretti's, after being voted the family's most technologically challenged member, I realized something important. Helping people who don't appreciate it isn't kindness. It's enabling disrespect. I opened my password manager, KeePass, with military-grade encryption and started the first phase of my plan. Phase 1 was simple. Remove myself as administrator from every system, but do it carefully so nothing broke immediately. I wanted them to discover the problem gradually, naturally, when they actually needed to use these systems, Michael's home security first. I logged into the Ring account, navigated to user management, and changed the administrator email from my address to Michael's. The system sent him a verification email, but knowing my son, he'd ignore it for days. He gets probably 200 emails daily and reads maybe 10 of them. Next, I removed my phone number from the two-factor authentication backup for his investment accounts. Now, if he got locked out, the recovery code would only go to his phone, not mine. Small change, subtle, but crucial. I did the same thing across all 47 systems. Changed administrator contacts, removed myself from recovery options, updated security questions so they pointed to family members instead of me. It took 4 hours of careful, methodical work. The key was making sure nothing broke immediately. I didn't want to sabotage them. I wanted them to sabotage themselves through their own carelessness and assumptions. By 11 o'clock Friday morning, I was officially disconnected from their digital infrastructure. They just didn't know it yet. Friday afternoon, I drove to Best Buy and made a very specific purchase. An iPhone 15 Pro Max, 512GB, the most advanced smartphone currently available. Cost me $1,299. I'd been planning to buy it anyway, but the timing was perfect. The kid at the mobile counter, maybe 22 years old, looked surprised when I asked for it. "That's our most advanced model, sir. Are you sure you don't want something simpler? We have some great phones designed specifically for seniors." "I'm sure," I said. "It's just the interface can be pretty complicated if you're not used to iOS." I smiled. "I'll manage." Back home, I spent 2 hours setting up the phone. Migrated all my data from my old devices, configured my email accounts, installed my development tools, set up my VPN, downloaded the banking apps, security apps, password managers, customized the home screen exactly how I wanted it. Then I took a photo of my workstation, the 3 monitors displaying code and system dashboards, and sent it to Brandon via text message. "Thought you might appreciate an update on my technology. Hope the dinner was enjoyable. Give Chelsea my best. Grandpa." The message showed as delivered at 3:47 p.m. No response. Saturday morning, the first crack appeared. Michael called at 8:15 a.m. "Dad, something weird is happening with the home security system. I got an email about administrator changes." "Did you do something?" "I updated the account to have you as the primary administrator," I said. "Seemed appropriate since it's your house." "Okay, but I can't log in now. I forgot the password." "Have you tried the password recovery?" "Yeah, but it's asking security questions I don't remember setting up." "What are the questions?" "What was the name of your first pet? What street did you grow up on?" "I don't remember my answers." "That's because I'd been the one who set them up, using information about my own life, not his." But now that I'd transferred control to him, the system was asking him to verify his identity with questions he'd never answered. "I'm not sure how to help with that, Michael. Those are your security questions, but I didn't set them up. The system must have defaulted to something. You'll need to contact Ring support. They can verify your identity and reset the questions." Silence on the other end. "That sounds complicated. Can't you just fix it?" "I don't have administrator access anymore. I transferred it to you yesterday. You should have received a verification email. I get like 300 emails a day, Dad. I don't read all of them." "Then I'd suggest starting with Ring customer support. They're usually pretty helpful." "How long will that take?" "Depends on their queue. Probably a few hours, maybe a couple days, if you need to verify your identity through documentation." More silence. "This is ridiculous. It was working fine before. It's still working fine. You just need to reset your access credentials." He hung up frustrated. Exactly as I'd expected. Michael had never appreciated how much work went into maintaining these systems, because from his perspective, they just worked, automatically, magically, like electricity or running water. Saturday afternoon, Rita called. "Harold, I'm having trouble with my Google Drive. All my photos from Eleanor's memorial service disappeared." They didn't disappear. They're probably in a different folder. I looked everywhere. They're just gone. Did you check the trash folder? There's a trash folder. This was the problem. Rita had been using cloud storage for years, but had never bothered to learn how it actually worked. She just clicked buttons and expected me to fix any problems. Yes, there's a trash folder. Look for a menu option that says trash or bin. If you deleted the photos accidentally, they'll be there for 30 days before permanent deletion. Where's the menu? I walked her through it step by step. Click here, scroll there, look for this icon. After 15 minutes, she found the trash folder. The photos were there. Oh, thank God, how do I get them back? Select the photos and click Restore. Which button is that? Another 10 minutes of instructions. Finally, she recovered the photos. Thank you, Harold. I don't know what I'd do without you. What she'd do is learn to solve her own problems. But I didn't say that. Not yet. Saturday evening, my phone rang again. Brandon this time. Grandpa, hey, quick question. I'm trying to log into my apartment building security portal and I'm locked out. Did you change something? Interesting. He didn't even apologize for the dinner. Didn't acknowledge mocking me in front of 15 people. Just called asking for tech support like nothing had happened. I updated the administrator settings yesterday, I said. You should have primary access now. But I don't know the password. You'll need to use the password recovery system. I tried that. It's asking for a backup email I don't recognize. That was probably my email. I removed it when I transferred administrator rights to you. Well, can you put it back? No, the word hung in the air between us. Simple, direct, final? What do you mean, no? I mean, I'm no longer maintaining your digital accounts. You made it very clear at dinner that I'm technologically challenged, stuck in the past, using Stone Age tools. So I'm stepping back and letting you handle your own technology. Grandpa, come on. I was just joking around. Were you? Because 12 people voted that I needed a smartphone intervention. That seemed pretty serious. It was light-hearted. Don't be sensitive. Brandon, I'm not being sensitive. I'm being practical. You're a senior marketing manager at a tech company. Surely you can manage your own passwords without help from your dinosaur grandfather. Silence. Then how do I fix the apartment portal? Contact your building management. They can verify your identity and reset your access. That'll take forever. Probably. But you're young, technologically savvy, and living in the 21st century. I'm sure you'll figure it out. I hung up before he could respond. Sunday morning I went to church, like I did every week, St. Edmund's Episcopal, where Eleanor and I had been members for 40 years. Sat in our usual pew, 6th row from the front on the right side. Prayed for patience, wisdom, and the strength to follow through with what I'd started. After the service, Father Matthews asked how I was doing. Heard about the engagement dinner, he said. Rita mentioned it yesterday at coffee hour. What did she say? That Brandon made some jokes that didn't land quite right? That you left early, I smiled. Brandon's young. He's still learning that actions have consequences. Sounds like you're teaching him. Someone needs to. Sunday afternoon, the situation escalated. Michael called again, this time genuinely panicked. Dad, I really need your help. The investment account is locked. I tried to log in to move some funds, and I'm blocked after too many failed password attempts. I've got a time-sensitive stock trade I need to make before market open tomorrow. Did you try the password recovery? Yes. It's asking for a code sent to a phone number I don't recognize. I think it's your number. It was my number. I updated the two-factor authentication Friday morning to use your phone instead. Well, it's not working. Did you receive the verification text when I made the change? I don't know. I get hundreds of texts. I don't read all of them. There it was. The pattern emerging. My family had been ignoring the digital infrastructure of their lives because they assumed I'd always be there to maintain it for them. Michael, you need to contact Vanguard customer support. They can verify your identity through other means. That could take days. This stock trade is time-sensitive. We're talking about potentially missing out on $20,000 in gains. Then I suggest you call them immediately instead of arguing with me. Dad, just log in and help me. You've done it before. I don't have access anymore. I removed myself from all your accounts. Why would you do that? Because Friday night, my grandson made it very clear that I'm technologically incompetent. A dinosaur using Stone Age tools, living in the past. So I decided to let the technologically advanced members of the family handle their own systems. That's petty. The word stung, but not because it hurt. Because it revealed how little my son understood about respect. Is it petty to stop doing unappreciated work? Is it petty to let adults manage their own responsibilities? I've been maintaining your digital life for 15 years, Michael. Fixing your problems at 2 in the morning. Recovering your deleted files. Resetting your passwords every time you forget them. And I never asked for payment or recognition. I did it because I'm your father and I wanted to help. Exactly. So keep helping. But here's the thing, son. Brandon didn't just make a joke. He mocked me in front of 15 people and you smiled. You let it happen. Rita let it happen. And 12 people voted that I was the family's most technologically challenged member while I sat there holding a phone that I've had for 6 years specifically because it does everything I need without distracting me from real life. Dad, he's 28. He's immature sometimes. Then he's old enough to learn that disrespect has consequences. And so are you. I hung up. My hands were shaking slightly, not from anger, but from the weight of what I was doing. I'd never been confrontational with my family, never set hard boundaries, never made them face the reality of how much I quietly supported their lives. But Eleanor's voice echoed in my memory. Harold, she'd said near the end, you're too accommodating. You let people take advantage because you don't want conflict. But sometimes love means letting people struggle enough to grow. This was that moment. This was me finally letting them struggle. Sunday evening, Rita called in tears. Harold, my bank account is frozen. I tried to pay for groceries and my card was declined. I called Chase and they said there's suspicious activity on my account and I need to verify my identity. But I can't remember the answers to the security questions. What did the bank tell you to do? Visit a branch in person with identification. But I'm embarrassed. What if someone from the neighborhood sees me at the bank having problems? Then I guess you'll have to accept the embarrassment. Just like I accepted being mocked at Brandon's dinner. That's different. How is it different? Brandon was just being playful. Young people joke around differently than our generation. Rita, 12 people voted that I needed a smartphone intervention. That wasn't playful. That was public humiliation. And you sat there and let it happen. I tried to stop him. You said, that's enough once, then went back to your meal. That's not trying very hard. Silence on her end. Then quietly, I'm sorry. I appreciate that. But apologies need to be followed by changed behavior. Right now, I'm giving all of you the opportunity to handle your own technology. To prove that you're as competent as you believe you are. Harold, I need access to my bank account. I have bills due tomorrow. Then I suggest you get to the bank first thing Monday morning with your identification. They'll help you verify your identity and restore access. This is cruel. No, Rita. Cruel is mocking a 72-year-old man for using a flip phone while he's simultaneously managing all your passwords. What I'm doing is giving you independence. Monday morning, March 11th. The floodgates opened. Michael called at 7:42 a.m. before I'd even finished my coffee. The smart locks on our house aren't working. I can't get the garage door to open remotely. The Nest thermostat is offline. What did you do? I didn't do anything. Those systems require maintenance and updates. Have you been performing the necessary maintenance? I don't even know what maintenance they need. Then I'd suggest reading the user manuals. Dad, I don't have time for this. I have a meeting at 8:30. Then you'd better call tech support for each device, or hire a professional smart home technician. Do you know how much that costs? Do you know how many hours I spent setting up and maintaining those systems for free? He hung up without answering. Rita called at 8:15 a.m. Harold, I went to the bank like you said. They restored my access, but now I'm locked out of my email. The bank needed to send me a confirmation code, and I can't get into my Gmail to retrieve it. Have you tried the Gmail password recovery process? It's asking for my phone number, but I never set that up. You did set it up. I set it up for you in 2019 as a backup. But you probably don't remember because I handled all of that. So what do I do? Contact Google support. They have identity verification procedures. This is taking hours out of my day, Harold. Yes, managing technology takes time. Who knew? Brendan called at 9:03 a.m. Grandpa, this isn't funny anymore. I've been locked out of my apartment building portal for 3 days. I can't pay my rent online, I can't reserve the building amenities, I can't access the security footage for package deliveries. I need you to fix this. No. What do you mean, no? I mean, I'm not fixing it. You're an adult with a master's degree and a 6-figure salary. You can handle your own password issues. I tried calling building management. They said they can't override the security system without proper verification, which requires me to answer security questions I don't know. That does sound frustrating. You're really going to be like this? Over one joke at a dinner? Brandon, let me be very clear. This isn't about one joke. This is about 15 years of taking my help for granted. 15 years of me solving your problems without acknowledgement. And then, when you finally noticed me at dinner, it was to mock me in front of your fiancée, her wealthy parents, and all your work friends. I apologized. No, you didn't. You called me sensitive and told me not to take it personally. That's not an apology. That's dismissal. Fine. I'm sorry. Is that what you want to hear? I want you to understand what you're sorry for. Can you tell me that? Silence, that's what I thought. Figure out your building portal, Brandon. And while you're at it, maybe figure out why you thought it was acceptable to treat your grandfather like a punchline. I hung up. Monday afternoon brought a development I hadn't anticipated. Chelsea called. Not Brandon, Chelsea herself, Mr. Mitchell. This is Chelsea Worthington, Brandon's fiancée. Hello, Chelsea. Congratulations again on your engagement. Thank you. Listen, Brandon told me what's been happening. The technology issues, your conversation with him this morning. I just wanted to say I'm sorry about the dinner. The jokes went too far. This surprised me. I appreciate that, Chelsea. Brandon's really stressed. He's been dealing with these lockouts for days, and it's affecting his work. He missed a major client meeting this morning because he couldn't access his cloud files. That is unfortunate. Mr. Mitchell, I know you're upset. You have every right to be, but could you please help him? Just this once? Then I'll make sure he apologizes properly. Her voice was sincere. Not manipulative, not demanding. Actually apologetic. It almost worked. Chelsea, can I ask you something? Of course. When you and your sorority sisters were laughing at my flip phone, did you know I'd spent 15 years managing Brandon's digital life? No, I had no idea. Did you know I recovered his senior thesis after he got locked out during finals week? Or that I've been paying for his streaming services for the past 6 years? Or that I'm the emergency contact for his apartment building security system? Brandon never mentioned any of that. Exactly. Because to him, technology just works. Passwords just reset themselves. Problems just disappear. He never questioned how or why. He just assumed. Mr. Mitchell, I understand you're making a point. But Brandon is genuinely struggling here. Good. Struggling is how people learn. It's how they develop competence and appreciation. I spent 42 years solving complex technical problems that would make Brandon's marketing software look like a children's toy. But because I prefer a simple phone for my personal use, he decided I was a dinosaur, stuck in the past. Technologically challenged, he was wrong. Yes, he was. And now he's discovering exactly how wrong. So here's what's going to happen, Chelsea. Brandon is going to solve his own problems. He's going to contact tech support, verify his identity, reset his passwords, and learn how his systems actually work. It'll be frustrating. It'll take time. But when it's done, he'll understand something important about respect and assumptions. And if he can't figure it out, then he'll hire a professional IT consultant. They charge about $150 an hour. Tell him to get at least 3 quotes. I heard her breath catch. You're serious, completely serious. What if I promise to personally ensure he apologizes properly? A real apology acknowledging everything you just said? That would be a good start. But apologies without changed behavior are just words. I want to see understanding. I want to see respect. And I want to see him solve his own problems first, so he knows what I've been doing for 15 years. She was quiet for a moment. You know what? That's fair. That's actually really fair. I'm glad you think so. For what it's worth, Mr. Mitchell, Brandon's father talks about you all the time. Says you're the smartest person he knows. I should have realized the flip phone was a choice, not a limitation. Most people make that mistake. They assume technology adoption equals intelligence. But the smartest engineers I ever worked with used the simplest tools possible, because we understood that complexity should serve purpose, not ego. After Chelsea hung up, I felt something shift, not regret for what I was doing, but recognition that maybe Brandon's fiancée had more sense than I'd given her credit for. Tuesday, March 12th. The family crisis reached critical mass. Rita called at 6:47 a.m. before sunrise. "Harold, I've been locked out of my medical portal. I have a doctor's appointment this afternoon, and I need to download my recent test results. The hospital says they can't just print them out, they're going paperless. But I can't access the patient portal because I don't remember the password, and the recovery process is asking questions I don't know how to answer." "What's the appointment for?" "Just routine follow-up, but they specifically said I need to bring my recent blood work results, and the only way to get them is through the portal." "Rita, I'm not your IT support anymore." I know, but this is medical. It's important. Then call the hospital's technical support. They have people specifically for this. I tried. The wait time is 45 minutes. "Then I guess you'll be waiting 45 minutes. She hung up, frustrated. But I held firm. Michael called at 8:20 a.m. "Dad, the home security cameras went offline. Rita's convinced someone broke in during the night. The police are here asking if we have footage, and I can't access anything. I need your help. This is serious. This got my attention. Why does Rita think someone broke in? The back door was unlocked this morning. We both swear we locked it last night. Did anything get stolen? We don't think so. But without the camera footage, we can't be sure." I thought about it. This was a legitimate security concern, not just inconvenience. "I'll walk you through accessing the footage remotely. Get your laptop." "Thank you, Dad. But Michael, after this, you're learning how to do it yourself. I'm sending you documentation on the entire system. You're going to read it and understand how it works." Deal. I spent 30 minutes on the phone with him, explaining how to log into the Ring account, navigate to the timeline, and download specific footage. The cameras showed that the back door had been left unlocked by Rita herself the previous evening when she took out the trash. No break-in. "You see how this works?" I said. The system was functioning perfectly. You just needed to know how to access it. "I get it, Dad, and I'm sorry. I should have learned this years ago." "Yes, you should have. But better late than never. Check your email. I'm sending you the complete system documentation. Read it. Practice logging in. Learn where everything is stored." "I will." Tuesday afternoon brought an unexpected visitor. Brandon showed up at my door at 3:15 p.m., looking exhausted. Dark circles under his eyes, wrinkled shirt, hair uncombed. Not the polished marketing manager who'd mocked me 4 days earlier. "Grandpa, can I come in?" I stepped aside. He walked into my living room, taking in the space. He hadn't visited in probably 2 years. Too busy with his career, his relationship, his life. "Your house looks good," he said awkwardly. "Thank you." "Coffee? Please." I made 2 cups while he sat at my kitchen table. The same table where Eleanor and I had eaten breakfast every morning for 40 years. The same table where I'd helped Brandon with his algebra homework when he was 12. "I've had a terrible few days," he said. When I handed him the coffee, I heard. I spent 12 hours yesterday trying to recover access to my work files. I finally had to admit to my boss that I'd lost control of my personal cloud storage, where I keep backup copies of everything. He was not happy. That does sound stressful. I had to hire an IT consultant. Guy charged me $350 for 90 minutes of work. And you know what he said when he saw my security setup? I waited. He said whoever configured this knew what they were doing. Professional-grade encryption, proper backup protocols, intelligent folder hierarchies. This isn't amateur work. Brandon looked at me. That was you, wasn't it? You set all of this up? I did. When? Over the years. Little by little. Every time you called with a problem, I didn't just fix it. I improved the underlying system so it wouldn't happen again. He stared into his coffee cup. How much time did you spend on my stuff? Your stuff specifically? Probably 300 hours over 10 years. More if you count the initial setups and the ongoing maintenance. 300 hours, give or take, and you never said anything. Never told me you were doing all this. You never asked. And I didn't think I needed to. Families help each other. That's what we do. But I made fun of your flip phone. Yes, you did. In front of everyone. Including Chelsea's parents. Including my boss. I remember. He set down his coffee cup. Grandpa, I'm an idiot. You're not an idiot. You're young and you made assumptions. Most people do. No, I'm an idiot. An arrogant idiot who thought he understood technology because he can create Instagram campaigns and manage a marketing database. But I spent 12 hours trying to solve problems you probably could have fixed in 20 minutes. Probably 15, I said. He almost smiled. The IT consultant asked me who my systems administrator was. I didn't even know what that meant. He explained that someone had been actively maintaining my digital infrastructure, performing updates, monitoring security, optimizing performance. He said I was lucky to have such a competent admin. You were? Was? Past tense. I'm retired from that position, Brandon winced. That's why I'm here. To apologize. Really apologize. I'm listening. He took a breath. I'm sorry for mocking you at dinner. I'm sorry for calling you technologically challenged when you've been the one keeping my entire digital life running for a decade. I'm sorry for making assumptions about your capabilities based on superficial observations. I'm sorry for disrespecting you in front of people whose opinions I cared about, instead of defending you like I should have. And I'm sorry for taking 15 years of invisible labor completely for granted. The apology was specific, detailed, showed actual understanding of what he'd done wrong. Not just, I'm sorry if you were offended nonsense. That's better, I said. Chelsea helped me write it. She said I needed to be specific and own exactly what I did wrong. Smart woman. She is. Smarter than me, apparently. He paused. She also said you told her I needed to solve my own problems first before asking for help. To understand what you'd been doing. I did say that. Well, I tried. I really tried. But Grandpa, I'm in over my head. The apartment building portal is still locked. My cloud storage is a mess even after the consultant. My work systems are unstable. And I just found out that the streaming services I've been using are actually under your account, which means I've been mooching off you for 6 years without realizing it. You didn't realize because I paid the bills quietly and never mentioned it. Why did you do all this? I thought about his question. Because when you were 8 years old, you came to visit and saw my computer. You were fascinated. You asked me what I was doing, and I showed you how to write a simple program in Python. Just a few lines that made the computer say, "Hello, Brandon," and your face lit up. You spent 3 hours at that computer experimenting, asking questions, learning. I remember that. You asked me if I could teach you more. So I did. Every time you visited, we'd spend an hour doing coding lessons. You learned logic, problem-solving, systems thinking, and I thought, this is wonderful. My grandson appreciates what I do. He understands the value of technical knowledge. Brandon looked uncomfortable, but somewhere around high school, you decided that understanding marketing metrics and social media algorithms was the same thing as understanding actual technology, and you stopped asking questions, stopped being curious about how things really worked. You just wanted them to work immediately, without effort. I got lazy. You got entitled. You assumed that because technology is ubiquitous, it's simple. But nothing is simple, Brandon. Every system that just works has someone behind it making it work. Engineers, administrators, support staff, invisible people doing invisible labor, like you, like me. He was quiet for a long moment. What can I do to fix this? I pulled out a manila folder I'd prepared. This contains documentation for every system I've been managing for you. Passwords, security questions, account recovery procedures, maintenance schedules, troubleshooting guides. Everything you need to take control of your own digital life. He opened the folder. 40 pages of detailed documentation, organized by system, with step-by-step instructions and notes on common problems. This is incredible. This is what responsible adults do. They understand their own systems. Will you help me learn it? Yes, but not by doing it for you. By teaching you. We'll set up weekly video calls, 1 hour every Sunday evening. I'll walk you through each system, explain how it works, make sure you can perform basic maintenance yourself. It'll take probably 3 months to get through everything. 3 months? 15 years of accumulated knowledge doesn't transfer in an afternoon, Brandon. He nodded slowly. Okay, I'm in. Sunday evenings, 1 hour, 3 months. And one more thing. What? You're taking over your own streaming service subscriptions. The family plan under my account ends this month. You're 28 years old with a 6-figure salary. You can afford your own Netflix. He actually laughed. Fair enough. And Brandon? Yeah? Show this folder to Chelsea. Have her read through it. She should understand what's involved in managing a household's digital infrastructure before you get married. Because right now, you can't even manage your own. I'll show her tonight. After Brandon left, I sat in my living room thinking about Eleanor. She would have handled this whole situation with more grace than I had. She would have found a way to teach the lesson without causing so much disruption, but she also would have approved of the outcome. People don't value what they don't understand, she used to say. Sometimes you have to make them understand the hard way. Wednesday morning, Rita called. Harold, I just want you to know I spent 4 hours yesterday learning how my cloud storage actually works. I read tutorials. I watched YouTube videos. I organized my files properly. And I realized something. What's that? I've been using this technology for years without understanding it at all. I just clicked buttons and hoped for the best. And whenever something went wrong, I called you and you fixed it. I never thought about how much work that was for you. Most people don't. Well, I'm thinking about it now, and I'm sorry. I should have learned this stuff years ago. I should have valued your help more explicitly. I appreciate that, Rita. I also talked to Michael. He's enrolled in an online course about home network security, 8 weeks, 2 hours per week. He's actually excited about it. That's good to hear. And we're planning a family dinner for this Saturday. No engagement announcements, no social media, just family. We'd like you to come, if you're willing. Saturday, March 16th. I arrived at Michael and Rita's house at 6 p.m. carrying a bottle of wine and my new iPhone 15 Pro Max. The family was waiting in the dining room. Michael, Rita, Brandon, and Chelsea. 4-place settings, 1 empty chair clearly meant for me. Dad, Michael said, standing up. Thank you for coming. I took my seat. Rita immediately poured water, her hands slightly nervous. Before we eat, Michael continued, we need to say some things. All of us. Brandon went first. Grandpa, I want to publicly acknowledge what I publicly mocked. You've been maintaining my digital infrastructure for 10 years without recognition or payment. You've solved countless problems I didn't even know existed. You've saved me thousands of dollars and hundreds of hours. And I repaid you by calling you a dinosaur in front of 15 people. I called you technologically challenged, I corrected. Right, even worse. I'm sorry, truly sorry, and I'm committed to learning how to manage my own systems properly. Chelsea spoke next. Mr. Mitchell, I want to apologize for participating in the mockery at the dinner. I made assumptions about your capabilities based on surface observations. That was ignorant and disrespectful. Rita cleared her throat. Harold, I've been taking your help for granted for 15 years. Every time I had a problem, you fixed it. Every time I lost a file, you recovered it. Every time I forgot a password, you reset it. I never once said thank you properly. I never acknowledged the work involved. I just expected you to handle everything while I focused on other parts of my life. Michael was last. Dad, you taught me something important this week. You taught me that help without appreciation becomes expectation, that invisible labor stays invisible until someone stops doing it. And that respect isn't just about how we talk to people, it's about recognizing and valuing their contributions. The words hung in the air, genuine, specific, thoughtful. Not just we're sorry, but we're sorry for these specific things, and here's what we learned. I set my new iPhone on the table. I bought this last week. After the dinner, it's the most advanced smartphone currently available. Brandon stared at it. That's the 15 Pro Max. It is. 512 gigabytes. Cost me about $1,300. I've spent the past week setting it up exactly how I want it. Custom apps, development tools, security configurations, everything I need to manage my own digital life efficiently. Why did you keep using the flip phone? Chelsea asked. Because I liked it. Because it did everything I needed without constant notifications, social media distractions, or people asking to take selfies. Because I made a conscious choice to use simple technology for my personal communication while maintaining sophisticated systems for everything else. Because simple doesn't mean stupid, and preference doesn't mean incapability. We understand that now, Michael said quietly. Do you? Or do you just understand that you need me to keep fixing your problems? The question was harsh but necessary, Rita answered. Both, honestly. We understand it intellectually now, but I think it'll take time for us to really internalize the lesson, to change our behavior, to stop taking your help for granted. That's fair, I said. Dad, Michael said, we'd like to hire you. I blinked. Hire me? Yes, formally, as our family IT consultant. We talked about it, and we'd like to pay you $50 an hour for any technical support you provide, with a minimum monthly retainer of $200, whether we call you or not, because we realize there's value in just knowing you're available if we have emergencies. I did the math. That's $2,400 a year minimum. Potentially much more if you actually need significant support. Yes, which is a fraction of what a professional IT consultant would charge, and a tiny acknowledgement of the thousands of hours you've already provided for free. I don't need your money. We know you don't need it, but we need to pay it, because it changes the relationship from expectation to transaction. It makes your labor visible instead of invisible. And it forces us to think twice before calling you with every minor problem, because now there's a real cost attached. I considered it. The logic was sound. Payment would force them to value the work differently. It would create boundaries. It would acknowledge that my time and expertise had real economic value. I'll accept on one condition, I said. Name it. The money goes into an education fund for any future grandchildren. College, trade school, coding boot camps, whatever they need. I don't want it for myself, but I want it to create opportunities for the next generation. Michael smiled. Deal. We shook hands. And then Rita brought out dinner. Pot roast, Eleanor's recipe, cooked exactly the way I'd taught her 15 years ago. Over the meal, Brandon showed me his progress on the system documentation. He'd been working through it methodically, taking notes, practicing the procedures. I'm only about 20% through, he said, but I already understand so much more about how everything connects. Good. Keep at it. Can I ask you something, Grandpa? Of course. Why did you become an engineer? What attracted you to technology? I thought back to 1976. 24 years old, just finished my military service, looking for a career that would provide stability for the family I wanted to build. I liked solving puzzles, I said, and I liked that engineering was fair. If you wrote good code, it worked. If you wrote bad code, it failed. No politics, no subjectivity, just logic and effort and results. I found that appealing. Do you miss it? Working at IBM? Sometimes. I miss the challenge of complex problems. I miss collaborating with brilliant people. But I don't miss the corporate bureaucracy or the constant pressure to adopt new technologies just because they're new. Is that why you kept the flip phone? As a rebellion against constant upgrades? Partly, but mostly because it worked. And in engineering we have a saying, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Chelsea laughed. But everyone at dinner thought it was broke. Everyone at dinner made assumptions based on appearance rather than function. That's a critical thinking error. And it's especially common in technology circles where people confuse novelty with superiority. You should have told Brandon you were an engineer, she said. Why? So he'd respect me based on my credentials rather than my character. That's not the kind of respect I want. After dinner, we sat in the living room and I showed them my new iPhone's capabilities, the custom apps I'd installed, the development tools, the security features. The way I'd configured everything to maximize functionality while minimizing distractions, Brandon was fascinated. "This is like a completely different device than mine, but it's the same phone." "That's because I customized it to serve my specific needs." Most people never bother. They just use the default settings and assume that's all it can do. "Will you show me how to customize mine?" "That'll be one of our Sunday lessons." Rita asked about the family photos I'd backed up for her. Could I teach her how to organize them better? Create albums? Share them securely with extended family? "Yes, that'll be a Sunday lesson for you." Michael wanted to learn about network security, home automation, smart device management, all things we can cover, but it'll take time. "This isn't knowledge you absorb in an afternoon." "We've got time," he said. By 9 p.m. I was ready to head home. As I stood to leave, Brandon stopped me. "Grandpa, one more thing. Chelsea and I talked, and we'd like to give you a formal role in the wedding. Not just as a guest, but as someone important." "What kind of role?" "We're having a cocktail hour before the ceremony, where we'll introduce important family members. We'd like you to speak, just for a few minutes, about family, about values, about what you think makes a marriage work. You want me to give relationship advice. We want you to share wisdom, because you and Grandma Eleanor were married for 40 years. You understand something most people in our generation haven't figured out yet." I thought about Eleanor, the way she'd laughed at my terrible jokes, the way she'd supported my career through late nights and stressful projects, the way we'd learned to fight fair, apologize sincerely, and choose love over pride. "I'd be honored," I said. 3 months later, June 15th, 2024, Brandon and Chelsea's wedding at the Chicago Botanic Garden. 300 guests, perfect weather, flowers blooming everywhere Eleanor would have loved. During the cocktail hour, I stood at a microphone with my iPhone in hand. No notes, no script, just thoughts I'd been organizing for weeks. "I'm Harold Mitchell," I began. "Brandon's grandfather. For those who don't know me, I'm the guy with the flip phone. Or at least I used to be." Laughter rippled through the crowd. Brandon grinned from the front row. 3 months ago, my grandson taught me an important lesson. He taught me that people don't value what they don't understand. That invisible labor stays invisible until someone stops doing it. That assumptions based on appearances are usually wrong. But I taught him something too. I taught him that respect isn't given based on credentials or technology preferences. It's earned through character, actions, and the willingness to acknowledge when you're wrong. I looked at Brandon and Chelsea. Marriage is a lot like technology. It requires maintenance. It requires updates. It requires understanding how the system actually works, not just clicking buttons and hoping for the best. You'll have problems, bugs, moments where everything crashes and you can't figure out why. When that happens, don't make assumptions. Don't blame each other. Don't mock each other's limitations. Instead, work together to understand the problem. Document what went wrong. Learn from it. And most importantly, recognize and value each other's invisible labor. The things you do without recognition. The problems you solve without applause. My wife Eleanor and I were married for 40 years. We succeeded not because we were perfect, but because we respected each other's contributions. She saw my long hours at work not as absence, but as provision. I saw her managing our household not as easy domestic work, but as complex project management. We made each other's invisible labor visible through acknowledgement and appreciation. Brandon, Chelsea, you're both accomplished, intelligent people. You'll build successful careers. You'll acquire things. You'll achieve milestones. But none of that matters if you don't respect each other fundamentally. Not just the public accomplishments, but the private efforts. Not just the successes, but the struggles. Not just what someone appears to be, but who they actually are. And remember, the flip phone worked just fine. Sometimes simple is sophisticated. Sometimes old is wise. Sometimes the person you underestimate is the one holding everything together. The applause was generous. Brandon stood up and hugged me. "Thank you, Grandpa. Thank you for learning. The reception was beautiful. The speeches were touching. The dancing was enthusiastic. And when they cut the cake, Brandon made a toast to my grandfather, Harold Mitchell. Engineer, systems administrator, teacher, and the smartest person I know. Thank you for loving me enough to let me struggle. Thank you for teaching me that respect is earned, not assumed. And thank you for showing me that true sophistication isn't about having the latest technology. It's about understanding what you have and using it wisely. He raised his glass. To Grandpa Harold, the man who fixed every password in minutes and taught me what really matters. 300 people raised their glasses. To Harold! I raised my iPhone, took a photo of the moment, and sent it to my family group chat with a simple message. Beautiful wedding. Proud of you both. Remember what you learned. And call me Sunday for our next tech lesson. Love, Grandpa. Brandon replied immediately. We will. And Grandpa, thank you for the flip phone lesson. Best education I ever got. Sometimes the best way to teach someone is to stop doing what they take for granted. Sometimes respect requires letting people struggle enough to understand what they've been missing. And sometimes the most sophisticated technology is a 72-year-old grandfather who knows exactly when to disconnect, exactly when to reconnect, and exactly how to turn a moment of disrespect into a lifetime lesson. My flip phone sits in a drawer now, retired but not forgotten. A reminder that simple tools in skilled hands can do extraordinary things, and that assumptions about capability based on appearance are usually wrong. The iPhone 15 Pro Max works beautifully. I customized every setting, installed every tool I need, configured it exactly how I want. It's sophisticated, powerful, and perfectly suited to my requirements, but sometimes late at night, when I'm fixing one of my family's inevitable technical problems, I smile and think about that dinner at Moretti's, about Brandon holding up my flip phone like evidence of obsolescence, about 12 people voting that I needed a smartphone intervention. I wonder what they'd think if they knew that the dinosaur they mocked was the reason their digital lives functioned at all. That the Stone Age tools comment came from someone who couldn't solve basic password problems without help. That their assumptions about technological competence were precisely backward. But they know now. They understand now. And that's worth more than any apology. Because respect isn't about saying sorry. It's about changing behavior, learning lessons, valuing contributions, and recognizing that the quiet person at the end of the table might be the most capable one in the room. My name is Harold Mitchell. I'm 72 years old. I worked at IBM for 42 years. I built systems that still run major financial institutions. I wrote code that processes billions of transactions. I taught myself a dozen programming languages because the job required it. And yes, I used a flip phone for 6 years. Because I chose to. Because simple worked. Because I knew what I was doing. The question was never about my technological competence. The question was about their assumptions, their respect, their willingness to recognize value in unexpected places. They learned that lesson the hard way, by losing access to everything they took for granted, by struggling through problems I'd been solving invisibly for 15 years, by discovering that the grandfather they dismissed as a dinosaur was actually the invisible IT department keeping their lives running smoothly. And now? Now they check their assumptions. Now they ask questions before making judgments. Now they value invisible labor. Now they understand that competence and appearance are not the same thing. Now they call me every Sunday for tech lessons. They pay me $50 an hour for support they used to get for free. They acknowledge my contributions explicitly and frequently. They've learned that respect is active, not passive. That appreciation requires effort. That family means valuing each other's gifts, not just tolerating each other's presence. Was it worth it? The week of chaos? The locked accounts and failed systems? The stress and frustration and urgent phone calls? Absolutely. Because relationships built on unrecognized labor aren't sustainable. Because enabling disrespect doesn't help anyone. Because sometimes love means letting people struggle enough to grow. Brandon is different now. More thoughtful. More humble. More curious about how things actually work instead of just expecting them to work. He asks questions. He reads documentation. He practices procedures. He's becoming competent in areas he used to outsource without thinking. Michael enrolled in that network security course. He finished it. He understands his home systems now. He can troubleshoot basic problems. He still calls me for complex issues, but he tries to solve them himself first. That's growth. Rita organized her entire digital life, created backup systems, learned cloud management. She sends me photos now from her phone, properly organized in albums, with captions and dates. She's proud of her new competence. And she should be. Chelsea turned out to be exactly the kind of partner Brandon needs. Smart enough to recognize wisdom when she sees it. Humble enough to admit when she's wrong. Strong enough to push Brandon to be better. She reads my documentation. She asks intelligent questions. She understands that managing a household's technology is real work that requires real skills. They're learning, growing, changing. And that's all I ever wanted. Because at the end of my life, I won't be remembered for the code I wrote or the systems I built or the problems I solved. I'll be remembered for the lessons I taught, for the values I modeled, for the way I loved my family enough to let them struggle, learn, and become the people they were meant to be. Eleanor would have been proud, not of the chaos I created, but of the outcome, the growth, the changed relationships, the respect finally given and received. She used to say, "Harold, you're going to have to let them learn the hard way someday. You can't fix everything forever." She was right. It's always. So yes, I cast their family tech vote by removing myself from every system. I let them discover what I'd been doing invisibly for 15 years. I let them struggle. I let them fail. I let them learn. And guess who fixed every password in minutes once they finally understood what they'd been taking for granted? The same person who'd been fixing them all along. The grandfather they'd dismissed as a dinosaur. The engineer they'd underestimated. The teacher they hadn't known they needed. Me, Harold Mitchell, 72 years old. Flip phone veteran, iPhone expert, systems engineer, family IT consultant, and the smartest person some people finally learned to respect. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's education. It's growth. It's watching people become better versions of themselves because you love them enough to make them uncomfortable. And sometimes the most sophisticated technology is knowing exactly when to disconnect, exactly when to reconnect, and exactly how to turn a moment of disrespect into a lifetime of changed behavior. The flip phone taught them that lesson, and they'll never forget it.